How's it going today? I'm here with my WWE Cruiserweight Classic July 27th, 2016 review. Of course, this episode was pretty good. I'd honestly say it's probably on par with last week's. I didn't think it was anything better, but I don't think it was any worse. I would pretty much say it's pretty much the exact same how I felt about last week's as I felt about this week's. Still a good show, but hasn't topped the first episode yet, in my opinion. Before I get into the Cruiserweight Classic, I just want to discuss a little bit about NXT that took place before the Cruiserweight Classic, of course. I just want to say I thought NXT this week was great also. I think every NXT episode leading to TakeOver Brooklyn is going to be an awesome episode, must-see NXT. And I thought tonight's episode was just awesome as well. Nakamura and Wesley Blake had a pretty good match. It opened the show. Billy Kay's Bay. And, Team 61 had a match. Kota Ibushi was on the show. He faced Buddy Murphy, which actually was a really good match. It was actually pretty awesome. Buddy Murphy deserves his own singles push, and hopefully they go through with it, seeing how good he is. And Samoa Joe and William Regal had a really good segment to close the show with Nakamura coming at the end. So, very good episode of NXT. Very hyped. Bobby Roode debuts next week, as well as Hideo Itami coming back. So, next week already it looks to be pretty awesome. So, I just want to get quick thoughts about NXT before I get into the Cruiserweight Classic. Now, on the Cruiserweight Classic, we opened up with, of course, the first round match, because it's the third round of first round matches, which opened up with Zack Sabre Jr. versus Tyson Dukes. Zack Sabre Jr., of course, being one of the favorites to win this tournament, and of course, probably the best wrestler in the tournament. Him and Tyson Dukes, I thought, put on a very good match. Zack Sabre Jr. early on, showcasing his physical wrestling ability, and Tyson Dukes pretty much held his own as well. I thought the two meshed very well, put on a very solid opening match. Zack Sabre Jr. is just absolutely phenomenal. I consider for 20 minutes and just to put over Zack Sabre Jr. how good he is, and my words won't do any justice. This guy's incredible. Tyson Dukes, a name I've heard quite a few times over the past couple years and haven't seen too much of him, but for what I did see from him, I was pretty impressed. He actually was, he's a pretty good technical wrestler himself, so I thought him and Zack Sabre Jr. going out there and putting on a pretty awesome opening match definitely impressed me with Tyson Dukes, so I'm impressed by him. Hopefully as a WWE future. I heard he was signed, or he said he was signed a while back, or at least did some appearances a while back, but because of an injury, prevented him from really going any further in his career in WWE. This is pretty much a second chance. But, great technical wrestling for both men here. Zack Sabre Jr. is just incredible. Incredible. He had the Kimura lock and he transferred it into the Ampalata. I can't pronounce it very properly, so excuse me for that. Ampalata lock on him, and Tyson Dukes was going for the rope. Zack Sabre Jr. just takes his hand and just snaps it backwards, taking his finger, snapping it back, and Tyson Dukes had no choice but to give up and submit. So, great opener there from Zack Sabre Jr. and Tyson Dukes. Honestly, match of the night from the entire show, so, that was just should have been the main event, but great opening bout there from both men. From there, I'm going to go to another first round match: Drew Gulak versus Harv Sihra, which was Sihra. Sorry, match was just weird. I didn't think both styles meshed very well. Drew Gulak's a very serious technical wrestler, catch point wrestling, and Sihra's kind of a not goofy, but he was just having fun and kind of one of those energetic wrestlers. And I don't know. I didn't think the styles meshed very well. Drew Gulak I'm familiar with, so he didn't really do anything that I haven't seen him do before. I thought Gulak was fine. Sihra, I've not even heard before. I didn't think he did that well at all. He didn't really impress me with anything. He did some good scissor locks, and he did a nice springboard crossbody on the outside. Besides that, Sihra didn't do anything at all to impress me, honestly. Drew Gulak did get the victory with a very brutal Dragon Sleeper hold on Sihra. Sihra taps out, so Drew Gulak advances to the second round to face Zack Sabre Jr., which should be an awesome match there in its own. It was a pretty good match, but like I said, I wasn't really blown away by any two competitors. So that was good. From there, we go to another first round match. Of course, Tony Nese versus Anthony Bennett, which was just a very odd match. I don't know what was. The two styles didn't mesh well at all. Again, Tony Nese just a high flying, kind of a serious wrestler, and Anthony Bennett, another kind of party energetic wrestler, kind of like the previous match almost, but Tony Nese was in a different position or a different style wrestler than Drew Gulak was. So I don't know, the styles just didn't mesh well, and Anthony Bennett just did not work very well in my opinion. There's points points in the match where he just couldn't catch up with Tony Nese. It seemed like Tony Nese would do. He'd pull his arms underneath him, and Anthony Bennett would trip or whatever, and just there were some miscommunications along the match as well. I just wasn't impressed by either men in this match, or I wasn't impressed with Anthony Bennett, to say the least. I just felt like he wasn't really keeping up with Tony Nese, who I think Tony Nese is awesome. So I just was kind of kind of shitty match, to be honest. And then the ending was really confusing too. Tony Nese like gives almost Anthony Bennett a pile driver, and I guess Bennett landed wrong. He was selling it, and Anthony Nese from the 450. The referee told him to stop, and he checked on Bennett, and then he told him to go, and then hit the 450. Which to me, why didn't they edit out the referee stopping the match for a quick 5 seconds and tell him to go, continue? I don't know why they didn't edit that out, but it was just an odd match, and I didn't like it. Tony Nese wins the match, advances to the second round. Yeah, that was definitely by far the worst match of the night. And then we go to the main event, which was the Brian Kendrick taking on Raul Mendoza. Raul Mendoza, who I've never seen before. Brian Kendrick, I've always been a huge mark for Brian Kendrick, so I was very happy to see him here. This was actually a really good main event as well. I thought Brian Kendrick and Raul Mendoza worked very well together. Brian Kendrick played the role of that veteran that's just very desperate to do whatever it takes to get that second opportunity and to make sure he makes the best of it and not screws it up. And Mendoza was actually very impressive. I actually really, like I said, I've never seen this guy before, but I was very impressed. I was really enjoying his wrestling ability. He did some great high-flying maneuvers, some great counters. He hit the end of Heartache, which I was a huge mark for that move with Roderick Strong. So he hit the end of Heartache, which was pretty awesome. He hit a coast-to-coast, which looked absolutely incredible. So Raul Mendoza definitely showcased his abilities here and definitely looked very, very good. Raul Mendoza does have braces and did a spot where Brian Kendrick like grind his face against the ropes and actually blood was spilling out of his mouth. So I pretty much cut his mouth open. And first and foremost, if you're a wrestler, why the fuck do you have braces? Like, come on. I don't know why you'd be wrestling with braces for. I don't know if he needs them or if he chooses them, because on commentary it made it seem like he chose to wear braces to wear them to like have good teeth. So I don't know. I think you're pretty dumb to wear braces for a wrestler, but yeah, Mendoza definitely was very impressive. Was in some really good maneuvers here, and Brian Kendrick was kind of just taking it. Like I said, just being a desperate veteran. One mistake was all it took. Brian Kendrick locked in a reverse chin lock into a bully choke, and Mendoza quickly taps out. So Brian Kendrick advances to the second round to take on Tony Nese, which should be an awesome match as well. So yeah, really good main event. Like I said, very impressive with Raul Mendoza. I thought he did excellent. Definitely, I think he was the most impressive out of anyone on this episode. And yeah, like I said, I thought this episode was pretty superb. On par as last week's. Like I said, I think the opening match and the main event were the two really good matches, and the matches in between were kind of decent to whatever, which is pretty much the exact same way I felt about last week's episode. That the first match and the main event were awesome. Middle matches not so much. So yeah, very solid episode here. The Cruiserweight Classic next week is the final round matchups of the first round. So after next week, all the first round matches will be complete, and we'll be moving on to the second round. So next week should be a ton of fun. We have Rich Swann on the show. We have Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa in the main event, which should be really good, and we have some other notable names as well. So yeah, another good episode of the Cruiserweight Classic next week. Hopefully it's a step up, because like I said, the last 2 weeks have yet to top the first week, and hopefully next week can maybe achieve that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. In the comments below, if you guys like, please leave your thoughts about the Cruiserweight Classic from tonight. And until my next video, I'll see you guys then. Thank you guys for watching the video.